What's good, innies? Black Mirror is back with a fresh batch of episodes for season 7. And to be honest, this season kinda snuck up on me. I've only had a chance to watch the first 2 episodes, but if this is any indication of what the rest of the season's gonna look like, I think we can say Black Mirror is officially back. The first episode of this season is called Common People, starring Rashida Jones as Amanda and Chris O'Dowd as Mike, playing an average suburbanite American couple who also happen to be trying for a baby, albeit unsuccessfully. Things quickly get dark when Mike learns that Amanda is terminally ill. All seems lost until a technological miracle opens up a window of hope. This bargain comes with a massive caveat. Common People is about as timely and salient as any episode could have possibly been right now, because it deals with the prevalence of the subscription model, enshittification, the negative attention click economy, and the erroneous belief that the tech bros have all the answers. Before we shove off, this video will include a heap of spoilers and story details, so be warned. I gotta give a shout out to the entire Tinfoil gang and the channel patrons, aka the executive producers you see here. And of course, a warm welcome to the newest channel patrons, Sarah Grillo and Signal Music. Thank you so much for supporting the channel directly, and I hope this puts a smile on your face. Alright gang, now that the intro is sorted, it's time to dive. Mike and Amanda are middle class, middle-aged, and living the American dream. A dream that's becoming more fleeting with each passing year. But they're doing alright. They've managed to build a life for themselves in a quaint suburb, with Mike employed as a welder and Amanda as an elementary school teacher. Right away, the episode hits us with an Easter egg that references another episode of Black Mirror by way of these tiny robot honeybees, aka autonomous drone insects. These are from the Hated in the Nation episode, and you might remember that they were hijacked and used to erase people. It's one of my favorite episodes, by the way. But this is also a reminder that in this version of reality, honeybees have gone extinct, and society has to depend on technology to do what nature has done for millennia just fine. At the end of the workday, Amanda turns down a drink with her coworkers because tradition calls. She and her husband Mike have planned for a weekend getaway that she isn't exactly excited about. But she's a good sport, willing to indulge Mike's somewhat corny nostalgia feels, but also because this place is where they got married. I think that tells you a lot about this couple. Now, the place in question is the spot called the Juniper, an old-fashioned, I think German-styled beer hall with live entertainment to boot. It just so happens that the song being performed when we arrive is a haunting melody that any Black Mirror fan should be familiar with. Anyone who knows what love is will understand, by Irma Thomas. A song perfectly suited for the story that is about to play out before us. Later in the scene, we learn that Mike and Amanda are trying to have a baby, but they've been at it for a while with no success, and it's a bit of a touchy subject. Soon after this, Amanda has a sudden headache that turns out to be a harbinger of what's to come. Later, when the couple returns home, we get this scene that centers the pregnancy issue by letting us know that Amanda really wants to have a child, but the pattern of trying and failing has her feeling a bit cynical about the whole thing. And she suggests selling the crib that they bought in expectation of eventually getting pregnant. Mike, on the other hand, remains optimistic and insists that they keep the crib because he's certain that they will eventually have that baby. It's just a matter of time. Next, we get a peek into Mike's work life when we visit him at the job. There's this scene where he's asked to give another employee a swift kick in the pants because he's not getting his work done. And this is the perfect opportunity to introduce one of Common People's main themes. When Mike finds this coworker, he's engrossed in this video platform called Dumb Dummies, where people get on camera and do heinous and demeaning acts while being egged on by an audience offering cash donations to do said horrible acts. This is no doubt a reference to the real phenomenon in social media, where people do all sorts of off-the-wall stunts to get clicks. This is a commonplace practice that sits firmly at the intersection of two of the ugliest aspects of modern society, a place where financial desperation meets the public's fascination with drama, conflict, outrage, and violence. The experts on the subject refer to this as a negativity bias, or a generalized attraction to all things negative and sensational, and our friend here is fully invested, admitting that he too threw some coin at a guy to persuade him to drink his own urine for pay. This theme will return in a big way later on in the story. Now, when we come back to Amanda, she's in the middle of teaching her class about solar power, and then she gets another headache episode, but this time it's much worse. Amanda passes out in front of the class. Next thing you know, Mike is being alerted while he's at the job, and he books it to the hospital to see about her. Amanda is in a coma. She's got a brain tumor, and the prognosis isn't looking good, according to the doctor. Mike is facing his worst nightmare at this moment. He is about as vulnerable and as low as a person can get, which is the perfect time for a predator to show up and make him an offer he can't refuse. Enter Gaynor, played by Tracy Ellis Ross, and she's here to represent Rivermind, a corporation that has recently developed a piece of tech that could very well solve Mike's current problem. The offer is to have this device implanted in Amanda's head to substitute for the lost brain function that resulted from the tumor, thereby extending her life. It's a miracle. But there are some caveats. One is that Amanda will have to sleep a few extra hours each night, and she'll be limited in how far she can travel from home. Not great, but hey, she's alive, right? How could Mike possibly turn down this offer? Oh yeah, but there is one other catch. The device is only available on a subscription basis, i.e., they will have to pay a monthly fee of $300 to keep the lights on. It's enough to put a strain on any household existing anywhere in the vicinity of hand to mouth. That said, Mike says yes to the offer because of course he did. And with that decision, Black Mirror has officially begun. One thing to note here is how this Gainer character mentions that this product is still in the initial rollout, thus the sweet deal they're getting, but they're planning on a national and even worldwide expansion. Also note that the initial surgery is free, an incentive that makes it even harder for a potential customer to say no to. So Amanda is revived and the two are united, happy as they could possibly be, but it doesn't take long for the negative aspects of this new technology to start to introduce themselves. This grind puts the couple through the ringer, and maybe Mike suffers more so because his calendar is filled with nothing but overtime shifts at work that seem to get progressively worse as the months pass. They're doing the best that they can. When the couple realizes that their anniversary has come around again and they haven't made any plans, well, Mike decides to continue the tradition and head over to the Juniper once again. But on the way, something strange happens while they're in the midst of a lover's quarrel. Amanda goes dark all of a sudden, like she completely shuts down, which of course freaks Mike out. Later on, they find out from Gainer that this happened because the couple drove outside of the chip's coverage area, which is a shock to Mike because he swears he checked this out beforehand. But as it turns out, the corporation made a few small changes to the plan by making the previous allowed range smaller. Of course, you can always get access to the original, more generous limit if they pay a little more for the new higher tier of the service. This should sound familiar to all of us because it's a common practice when it comes to subscription memberships. It's akin to moving the goalpost if the goalpost is the customer's satisfaction. The experts call this enshittification, a very handy word that describes how a business will often start off being very generous and accommodating to get you to sign up, and then eventually, over time, your experience with the service will get worse as they slowly give you less while expecting more. The telltale clue is the addition of new tiers or services that cost a lot more and a diminishing of the services you previously got at the initial price point. This is nasty work, but it's quickly become the norm. Gainer tries to sell Mike and Amanda on Rivermind Plus, the new tier that will expand her travel range by a decent amount, but it comes with a new price tag, 800 bones. A steep increase over the 300 they were previously paying. But hey, what are you gonna do, right? Rivermind created the problem, then sold them the solution, a common tactic in just about every service industry now. But the fun doesn't stop here. This is Black Mirror after all. It's about to get much, much darker. Later, while talking about making coffee, Amanda breaks into this weird state where she sounds like she's reading copy for a radio ad. It becomes instantly obvious that Rivermind has introduced context-sensitive ads to their chip, which is already annoying, but also creepy because it means the system knows what she's doing for it to be able to do this in the first place. It means that Rivermind is listening. We're all aware of how insidious ads are in our lives, and forget about the privacy issue. They will put ads any place eyeballs tend to be. The worst part for Amanda is that when she goes into advertising mode, she has no awareness of it at all. So you can imagine how that can become a problem for a school teacher, or really any job for that matter. Like say for example, Amanda is in the middle of a class and ad mode kicks in. Or worse, she's having a sensitive private conversation with a student and she's interrupted by an ad. This is not ideal. But if you don't want the ads, you can always get rid of them by upgrading to Rivermind Plus. Pressure is on the upgrade, but they know this option falls outside of what their budget will allow. Mike, being the eternal optimist, ensures Amanda that they will figure this out one way or another. Unfortunately, that way out involves Mike signing up for Dumb Dummies to do something strange for some change. The final strain has already taken all of his time and money, and now it's asking for his dignity. Blood from a stone comes to mind here. And it's only because Mike loves Amanda that he's willing to degrade himself to keep her alive and get these ridiculous, intrusive ads removed. Amanda's experience with Rivermind Basic practically forces them into an upgrade. Up until now, her experience has been fraught with unpleasant surprises, like the fact that she's now sleeping for 12 hours a day because the Rivermind company wants to use her chip for other network processes while she's asleep. Plus, there's always the option to upgrade to Rivermind Lux, the hot new tier that includes less time asleep, an enhanced sensory mode, and access to shared skills from other users like parkour. All for the low price of $1,800 a month. No worries, it's only about the cost of a mortgage. I kind of lost it when I saw the parkour part. Shout out to the writers for adding this in. That was hilarious. So it's year 2 and the anniversary is coming around again, and it's giving Mike ideas. He wants to buy Amanda a booster pack for temporary access to the top tier service. They don't have the money for that, so you know what that means. Time to log in to Dumb Dummies for a quick infusion. This time things are different when a potential donor offers him $500 to do the deed without a mask on. Mike is desperate enough, so he decides to do it. Something he will regret later on. Now, Amanda is gifted with a 12-hour stint on Rivermind Lux with the pleasure sensors maxed out, which leads to some hilarious yet dark moments for the couple. Things take a turn for the worse when Mike heads back to work and he finds out that his coworker found out about his Dumb Dummies videos and posted a pic of the job for everyone to see, which leads to a series of events that kind of put a cap on Mike's trajectory at this job. Mike is summarily fired, and this changes everything. A new reality begins to set in for them both. This Rivermind thing has stretched them to their limits, and they are officially out of ideas to keep things going. Rivermind doesn't want to hear the sob story about why they can't pay. They don't give a rat's about their extenuating circumstances, and they aren't willing to make any concessions on their behalf. Either they pay, or they'll turn it off. And that spells the end for Amanda. The thing is, they simply can't afford it. A year goes by, and there's plenty of evidence that Mike and Amanda have been scrounging the entire time, selling off personal items to survive. Even the crib gets sold to some teens who want to burn it in a music video. Mike's missing a few teeth, and Amanda spends most of the day asleep because of her chip. Mike manages to scrape together enough money for a 30-minute booster for Amanda on their anniversary. And it's at this point that you get the sense of where things are headed. Amanda says it's time. She's lost the will to continue like this, and she probably feels like her existence has been too much of a burden. What sucks is that their last moments are cut short when the ad kicks in while they're in the middle of their final farewell. It wouldn't be a Black Mirror episode without a tragic end. Common People delves into the dangers of over-relying on technology to address societal issues. I think we have to remember that the tech industry isn't necessarily interested in making our lives easier. Their incentives are no different from any other business under capitalism. It's only ever about the bottom line, no matter what they promise us. Act accordingly. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you already know what to do. But yeah, so far, season looks great. Like I said, I've only seen 2 episodes, but so far, so good. Be safe out there, tinfoilers. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, off you go.